Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Christopher Olvera, and I work with the California Energy Commission. This webinar is supported by our Outreach and Education Unit, and today, this webinar, we're going to provide training on the 2013 Non-Residential Energy Standards.
The lighting alteration requirements. Here, this is an application where we probably have the most significant changes in regards to alteration. The thresholds have been reduced significantly. So what that means is that many of your lighting alterations will most likely have to meet these requirements. And so with that said, the current requirements on the left table are included in Section 149 B1I. And what we say is that on the current regs, you must meet the mandatory and prescriptive requirements for alterations that increase the lighting load, the watts per square foot, or where 50% of the lighting fixtures are replaced. So generally speaking, if you increase the lighting load, this threshold and criteria still applies. Generally speaking, you must meet the mandatory requirements for wiring alterations. But for 2013, what's changed is the alteration, the lighting fixtures, the 50% threshold. That value has decreased significantly. All of these requirements will now be listed in Section 140.1.0 B2I. And what we say here is to help simplify compliance, we do have a couple of tables. For lighting system alterations, they must meet the requirements in Table 141.0-E. And essentially what we say is that if you're replacing 10% or more of the altered fixtures, they have to meet the requirements. If you look in Section 141.0 B2I, which is included in the handout, we have the definitions, if you look on the second page, of what a lighting system alteration is versus a modification in place. As we talk about the first table we're going to look at, it includes lighting system alterations. And what that includes, if you look here, is an alteration where an existing lighting system is modified, luminaires are replaced, or luminaires are disconnected from the circuit, removed, and reinstalled, whether in the same location or installed elsewhere. These type of alterations must satisfy the requirements in Table 141.0-E, which is included in your handout. And what you see here is there's requirements where alterations that do not change the area of the enclosed space or the space type, and alterations that either change the area of the enclosed or increase the lighting power. If you are increasing the lighting power or change the enclosed area, you essentially have to meet all of the requirements, including daylit area requirements. When less than 10%, I should say, when you have less than 10% of the existing luminaires are altered, what we're saying is that you do not have to do anything. You do not have to meet the requirements of the 2013 energy standards. But if the sum of the total luminaires replaced in an enclosed area is 10% or greater, you have to meet the requirements. And essentially, the resulting lighting power density or watts per square foot due to that alteration will dictate which requirements that you need to meet. And so essentially, if the resulting watts per square foot is 85% or less than what's allowed in 140.6, you essentially have to meet the mandatory requirements for multi-level lighting controls and multi-level lighting controls and the area shutoff controls. If the resulting watts per square foot is greater than 85% of what's allowed, then essentially you have to meet those same requirements plus the daylighting requirements if applicable. So generally speaking, the mandatory requirements will apply your multi-level shutoff controls, etc., if you replace 10% or more of the luminaires. This is a significant change from the current 50%. So do keep in mind that if you do satisfy those requirements, you're going to have to meet not only the multi-level lighting control requirements, but also daylighting control requirements if applicable. For luminaire modifications in place, they must meet the requirements in Table 141.0-F, and essentially the requirements are very similar, just the threshold is different. So if we go back to section 141.0, if we go to the definition to luminaire modification in place, you'll see here these include replacing lamps and ballast with light type or quantity in a manner that preserves the original luminaire listing, changing the number or type of light source in a luminaire, changing the optical system of luminaire in part or in whole, and then also replacement of whole luminaires one for one, in which the only electrical modification involves disconnecting the existing luminaire and reconnecting the replacement luminaire. The significant difference for these types of luminaire modifications in place is that under the current regulations, if you're just doing ballast replacements, etc., the requirements did not apply. Moving forward, if you do conduct these modifications in place, where 40 luminaires or more are altered in an enclosed space, they will essentially have to meet the mandatory measure requirements, and which is not a requirement under the current regulations. So if you see here, if you replace less than 40 luminaires in the enclosed space, existing conditions, controls, etc., are fine. But if you replace 40 luminaires or more, depending again upon the resulting watts per square foot that's allowed in 140.6, you're either going to have to satisfy the area control and multi-level lighting requirements, or you're going to have to meet the automatic and area daylighting control requirements if the resulting watts per square foot is greater than 85% of what you're allowed in 140.6.